Hello everybody. I'm just going to give it a couple minutes here so things can, people can come into the room. This is a live broadcast from on Facebook from Honeybrook, Pennsylvania, and I will put it on YouTube later. So if you're watching from YouTube, you just have to be a little bit patient until people pop into the room. And here we go. Here's some people coming in. There's a few more. Okay. Hello everybody, welcome. Let me see if I can just put this up a little higher. There we go, that's good. Alright, I'm going to start because it's going to be kind of... Hello, Jenny and Jack. Welcome back everybody. We may not have a big turnout, but I know a lot of people are still traveling in that, and we'll put this on YouTube a little bit later tonight, so we're going to go ahead and start with our carving. The first part, you need a 1.5 by 1.5 by 3.5 inches long. And let me find the other. We do an ornament size, and we do a larger size. And let me check something here, folks, because it looks like it keeps kicking off on me here. Okay. What we do is, all you're going to be doing is actually taking this. Hi, Debbie. Nice to see you, too. Thanks for joining tonight. I'm going to reposition this camera just a little bit more. I notice it's freezing up a little bit, and I'm not sure why. I've been trying to figure that out, and I haven't figured it out yet. And I'm right next to the router. So let me do this here and see if this will work. Alright, so we have a 1.5, 2.5, and a 3.5 blocks is what we do a lot of our carvings from. So actually all this is going to do is put your ornament on top of a chimney. And then the chimney is very simple to do. It's not very difficult, but it's finding your base on where to start for your project. So I went ahead, just to save a little bit of time, I took this 3.5 by 1.5 by 1.5 basswood, and I already drew some of the stuff on here. So how do you determine the bricks? Well, it's pretty simple. The bricks have, hello Dean, the bricks are fairly simple. Usually the top one is the white, I call it the crown or whatever. I don't know. My brother-in-law would know this because he does this kind of work all the time, masonry work. The top is usually white, and then there's different colors. Oh, I forgot to paint those. Different colors of bricks, but I like the red. So what I do is I just figure out where it's completely, where I'm not sloping off yet. You can go up higher if you want, but I usually put my finger against here, and I usually draw one line, and then I keep that same position, and I do them all the way around, and then I go down. I try to figure out where the middle is on this. So if this is a little wider, that's okay, that's not a problem. But if you want to, you can make these two a little smaller and this one a little bit bigger. So once you get that all drawn up, you don't have to worry about the spaces yet. We're not going to worry about that. But the very first thing I do is I take my little V tool. Now this takes a little practice, and hopefully I can do this while I'm online here. But what I'm going to do is just do a little, I'm going to go right on that line with my V tool and just go right across to give me an idea where all these are. Okay, I'm going to make them much, much deeper in a little bit here. Let me turn this around, and we're going to go this way. Now it's a little hard for me to do this because this is in the way, kind of, but I do one line at a time, and I try to match the corners as I go. But if you don't match them up exactly, you can adjust it a little bit when you put the knife in, but this will keep the lines there so you don't lose them or they won't wipe off. Okay, there's a little bit off, but we'll go up a little higher, and you'll see how that will work out. So this is the front here, okay? So I'm going to go down, and I'm going to do the second row. I try to keep that line in the center of my V-tool. And I take my time. It's nice if you can lean it against the table when you do it. Alright, so this works out really well with the V-tool. And this is more the precision work. You like doing this kind of stuff, you love making these bricks, these chimneys. Okay. I will see if you have questions. I'll keep looking at the screen. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I don't think I'm going to do any classes here in September due to the COVID variant that's going a little crazy down here in the States. I'm glad to hear that Canada is now open, so that's good. So anyway, but hopefully that will open up so you guys can come down here. Alright, so I did all three of them. The next thing I often do is take my knife on those lines. Okay, this has to stop rolling. Here, I take, and the beauty of this size, you can make any one you want, okay? You can make, and again, these are just the same ornaments. Now, some of them are a little different. Some of them have a shorter head. Some of them are a little bit different, but they turned out really nice. I put a penguin on top of one, which is kind of cute to do too. That was fun. And the next thing I will do is I'll probably put a cardinal on top of one. You know, and if you're not sure how to do it, you can always make the chimney separate and glue it on if you want, but I like doing it all in one piece. That kind of makes it a unique piece. So let me find the right knife here. Here we go. So what I do now is these sections, I go in pretty deep. I have a little bit at an angle, and then I go back and I do the other side, just like so. You'll see when we pull this out here. See the difference in the depth? See the difference in the depth? And then I'll do another one here. And if it's a little bit off, you can correct it by when you do this second cut on it. If it's not deep enough or wide enough, you know, you're keeping your knife at an angle here. Alright. We'll do this one here. Whoops. It's very hard for me to see this from the angle I'm doing this with the camera, so just bear with me. If it's a little off, just take your time with it. I'm trying to hurry because of time. And this one's going to take a little bit longer because we're going to do one with the package in the front. Alright, we're doing this little guy here. So, okay, so I'm going to do all the tops. We'll worry about the bottoms a little bit later. I may do one side to show you how to do all the sides because it's just repetitive. There is no pattern to it, but I will see. I'll look at that video and see what happens. The thing we're working on now, Linda, is the bottom part of the chimney. I always start with that first because that has to stay pretty straight and all that. So now, once I have this done, then I go up and start on the main piece. So usually I do all of these at the same time so I don't have to fuss with it later, but for time's sake we're going to go ahead and do the top portion now. So what we're going to do is you're going to go down a little ways, maybe a half an inch or so. You're going to just make a small little S shape as you see there. And the same thing over here. You're going to do the same thing and try to have it the same distance from either from the top of your carving or from the bottom. It doesn't really make any difference. And then you're going to connect the two on the back. Once you get the front done, you go ahead and connect the back. And this is the same as we've done all these other ones. You're going to go straight in, and you're going to just notch it out for now. There we go. And when you do the side, you do it a little bit at an angle. It's been very muggy here. We have a lot of rain coming, I think, tomorrow morning into Thursday. I think it's the hurricane that's coming up or going across. We're just going to have rain, but that's about it. I do all the corners first. And, alright. Then I go back to my favorite little tool is the knife and the V-tool. So the V-tool, I'm going to follow this line across and around, just like so. And I do all this. That helps me to know where to go. And if your V-tool is sharp enough, as you're noticing, I can go in any direction with this thing. And it cleans it. It does a nice job. Straight across. And pretty well straight across. A little bit of a curvature there. Alright, so that's where we have that portion now. Now we go back to the knife, and I'm going to recut it at an angle, a little bit of an angle. And how far? That's it's not that crazy. But I'm going to do the same thing here. Come down and around this way. And I'm going to do from the top and across the back. Bingo. Alright. Then we're going to trim this out from the bottom up to the hat. You want to be careful you don't stick your knife in that. You know, you're just following your edge there. I'll try to keep this more in focus today. Sometimes I forget I'm on camera and I just get carried away with carving. Yes, one must be careful when they carve. I was debating whether to share this little story with you, what happened to me on my little trip. I went away for a couple of days, and I was at the hotel, and I took my carving stuff along, and I had my little grinder on my little inverter. And let me show you this though. Let's keep going here. All right, let's bring this down first a little bit, in the front a little bit. You're going to laugh probably hysterically at what happened to me, and I'm not ashamed to tell you. It's a safety feature. We're putting the tassel on right now. Bring this up and bring this up. Usually I cut the bottom portion first. Bring that up. Then I cut the top. And then you're going to follow the lines on either side, and then I'm going to round off the hat and shape it up. Alright, so just take your time with it. And but anyway, I was at the hotel, I was outside. I was with my car, I had it in the trunk. I turned on the grinder, and I was sharpening my tools because I did some carving when I was away. And lo and behold, I had these folding knives, right? And I had an older one. And I was doing it really quick, and when I fold a knife, I usually fold it like this, right? You see how I folded that knife? I usually do that on my hip, or near my backside. And I was in a hurry, and it didn't fold, and I stuck myself about an inch in close to the buttocks. And oh my lord, it started the fibers. So my backside got kind of stabbed, but I thought, well, I had no band-aids, so I just put pressure on it and it was fine. But do not fold your knife in a hurry, and make sure it does fold before you try to do it on your hip or your backside. Otherwise you'll have the same thing that happened to me. And some of my friends really got a kick out of that story, but I'm telling you, I cut myself more with the knife, not carving. It's getting the knife, opening the knife, picking it out of the box. You know, it's just one of those things. So just be careful when you open and close the knife. I embarrassed by it, thinking all the times I've opened these things and I already cut it on my finger one time, closing it that way. But I guess working on the farm and having a pocket knife in my back pocket, well, that's what happened. So yeah, I cut myself pretty good. It was a good puncture wound. It bled for a while, and it's fine. It's all healed up, and it's closed up and all. Surprisingly, I was surprised it didn't hurt more the days after. It was sore, but it wasn't that bad. But boy, I could tell those fibers were just, it was, it was really weird feeling. So I'm pretty sure it went at least like 3/4 to an inch in. So, yeah, you don't want to do that too often. So when you close your knife, just be careful when you do it. Hello, Lori. I'm telling the story of my little mishap the other week with the knife. So be careful how you cut, trim, close your knife. It's a scary thing when you jab yourself and you're thinking, okay, how would I explain that to the people in the hospital? I'm sure they had all kinds of stories, but yeah, the wood carver came in here and stuck herself in the buttocks with her knife. Not funny. Not funny at all, but it is funny now. But it was fine. But anyway, folks, shape up the hat, and we all have mishaps with knives. Believe me, we all do. And if they say they don't, I don't know if they're telling you the truth. I know some people had some really doozies that landed them in a hospital with, tendons cut and all that. So always wear your gloves if you have a glove, or especially if you're a beginner. You want to do that. All right, so anyway, that's pretty well the hat for now. And as I go along here, I try to take some of this rough stuff off, because if you don't, it's not going to paint correctly for you. If you're new at this, I'm sorry, Linda, I don't know what to tell you. The feed looks like it's working okay here. Maybe once I get it on YouTube, you might be able to see it from start to finish without too many problems. Okay, so now I'm going to put the nose in here. Let's see how far the nose is down. Just about there. Okay. So anyway, yep. It is what it is. Carving has some dangerous elements to it once in a while. While you're sharpening the tools or you're doing some things, I've cut myself several times over the years, some worse than others, but that was probably the worst. I know some people have had, I'm just putting the nose on, I'm trying to match it up a little bit here. I know some people try to carve on their lap, and like with chisels and gouges and stuff, and I know those folks have tore into their legs because they missed, they put so much pressure behind it, they hit an artery. You've got to be very careful of that. That's a whole other ball game. Yes, I am drinking hot chocolate on a hot day. So this is the nose. I'm going to just go ahead and start with the nose here. I know some people have cut, nerve endings and all kinds of stuff with things. So when you do the nose, I usually do a little bit of a taper on the nose, and then I go up here and I go straight in. See how this is, the knife is parallel with the corner, and I try to keep that when I'm cutting the whole nose out here. And I'm going to do both sides right away, just to save a little bit of time here. And you cut that underneath because this is going to be the deepest part where your eyes go. Alright, perfect. Now I'm going to start sweeping that out a little bit. And not only with knives and gouges, but I've heard horror stories with... I take that back. I remember cutting myself on the bandsaw and going back and looking for the tip of my thumb one time. It sliced it right off. And that took a long time to heal. And no, I didn't go to the hospital. I came in to tell my dad. My dad came over and helped me at the time. My mother got weak knees from it. She didn't handle that. My mother was a strong woman, but when it came to blood or cuts and stuff, she wasn't real good with that. So, yeah. Never did find it in the bandsaw, by the way. So I think, but I have to say that cut I did the other week, yeah, that was bad. And it's so stupid. If I would have taken my time, it would have been fine. So, okay, we did both sides. You notice this side is a little wider than this. So what I usually do is I kind of try to compensate. I just cut the hat out back a little bit like this so. That's why I try not to go too deep when I do those cuts, because you don't want lines in the eyes. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to bring this in just a tad bit more. There we go. Good. Can't get that free. I don't know why it's not coming out. Let me do this back here for a second, folks. It's really hard for me to see up there. Okay. Alright. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the package, and because the mustache has to come out here. Where's this thing? I'll show you. The package with the bow at the top is right underneath the mouth. So it takes a little bit to do that. Let me take a swig of this hot chocolate here. It's warm chocolate now. I prefer it that way anyway. So I'm going to start with the box here a little bit. And I'm just going to see how much different. No, that's pretty good. Okay, so, oh, okay. Alright. So the next thing I want to do is I just want to notch it right at the, before I do that. When I do the box, or the, I use the same method. I use my finger and a pencil, so it's the same on both sides. And then I bring it down and I go all the way across. Alright, and we'll put some on both sides. Alright. Now, I'm going to notch this out a little bit, and I'm going from the top. I'm not going to go both ways, just from the top. And I'm going to score it with my knife, do a stop cut with my knife along that line to the next corner. And then I'm going to go straight in, just like we did with the nose. I'm going to go straight in at the corner and come down. Same thing here. Okay, so now what I want to do is just from the corner, I want to just kind of sweep this out a little bit here. There we go. Same thing on this side. Alright, good. And it's okay if that ball, or that, you cut some of that off, it's fine. Alright, there's our little box that we want. Alright. So, once you get that done, we're going to cut this back just a tiny bit yet. Not too much, but just a little bit. You kind of round it off a little bit as well. Then I come down and I put this little, well actually let's stop with that and let's go back up here and let's put the cheeks in here, because that's really important too. So I like a nice deep cheek because we're going to put a large eye in here. Alright, so we all have our little war stories in carving. I think we all do. And some are worse than others, of course. And back to my V-tool. And we're going to just go up this way. I usually go up to the nose or up to the hat. And you get a good, because it's hard to go from here flush with the hat. You know, same thing here. I'll go from here. I love using the V-tool. It helps me, you know, maneuver the knife better when we have to round things off and make things deeper. It gives me a good guideline. So, what I do here, let's just round the nose off a little bit more so we have that shaped up a little bit more. And I take that little chip off right there. And I remember, take all the rough stuff off. Otherwise it's not going to paint correctly. Okay. Now I'll go back once I get off line here. I did about 10 of these different ones, and I'll show at the end all the different stuff you can do. If you have not seen my, or if you haven't looked at my Facebook page about it, but yep, it's a fun project, I'll tell you. I usually do larger ones like this. I did a couple large ones. I should do more large ones. I just did 2 bigger ones that are over, I would say, 7 to 8 inches tall. And a lot of times I'll put them on their base on a chimney. It's just a nice little added feature. People seem to really like that. So you can put a gnome or one of the critters on there if you want, a Christmas critter, whatever you want. The first time I put a penguin on, I'm going to do the cheeks here for a little bit. Alright. And I go in pretty deep, and then I cut it from the top down, just like so. I like those cheeks to be nice and puffy, if I can. And then we'll do this side as well. And we'll take this down. I'll try to get this onto YouTube right away tonight, depending how long this is going to be. Okay, the deepest part too is right there at the corner. You want to just do a little triangular cut there. Pop that out. See how the difference is when you do that? That shadow, like this side does not have it, this side does. It just makes it a little nicer. Yeah, when I go away or if I go on vacation, a lot of times I'll take my carvings with me, and I was able to get about 4 or 5 of them done, which was nice. I was checking to see if Frankenmuth, Michigan was going to have a show this year. They said no, they were not going to have a show because of COVID. We'll see if Lancaster has theirs next March. We'll see what happens. You know, it seems like life has been put on hold pretty much everywhere. For some of us, more than others. Alright, so that's as far as we got. Now, we're going to put the mustache in its next. Let me see here. Yeah. You can have a mustache going down too, but I like them going up. They look a little nicer that way. I do it both ways, but usually when I put them on here and they're holding something, I usually put it up. Then you can distinguish the pattern of the. Just looks better because the pattern is a little different from the mustache. Thank you, Maxine. I appreciate you telling them that. I can't see all the questions because I only see 1 or 2. If you put a long question on, I only see the one. So if I miss saying hello to you, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just, you know, I'm not able to see everything and carve at the same time. I guess I'm going to cut the mouth out, just like so. And again, I go with my little V tool, and I follow the rest of that mustache out. Oops. Just like so. Alright. I'll tell you folks, it's getting harder to come up with new ideas, but I will come up with a couple new things yet. And, you know, after doing about 200 different ones, and you know, I've been kind of mixing them together, like, you know, you can put this as an ornament by itself without the chimney, or put them together as another project. Some people really love doing the chimneys. The chimneys are a lot of fun. I did this longer one with the bald-headed guy, and the chimneys are a lot of fun. They're easy to do, and the results is really, really nice. So you know, they're worth putting them on if you have the time, or if you like doing it. It's a good thing to do. It adds a little bit to your piece. Now, I usually do that big one, like I said, but now I'm doing some smaller 3-inch. And I came across that by accident. So this is my chimney series with the 3.5-inch carving. You notice I'm cutting from, leaning it this way and cutting from on the mustache, then turning it around and then cutting it out. There we go. Now, when you get into these little areas, it can be really tough. Now, we're going to put a little, I forgot to put the ball in here. All right, we'll make it fit. I'm just not going to have a big bow on here, but we'll put a little one out here. Okay. Let's see if I can do this with the knife. Just make a little circle and follow that out, and then you're going to round it. I usually like a little taller than that, but you'll get the sense of what I'm doing here. And then I round this off a little bit. And when I get offline, I'm going to really take my time in there and try to do it a little bit cleaner. Thank you, Maxine. Yes, Delaware Valley Carvers and Fairless Hills, PA, they're going to have their show October 10th, 9th and 10th, and Conewago in East Berlin, Pennsylvania, the October 30th and 31st. So I won't be around for the Delaware Valley, I don't think. I'm not sure. Oh no, I won't be, because I'll be at I will be at the Apple Fest up in above Morgantown. I'm there every year. So anyway, so once we get this in here, we'll be good to go, because then the lip can just rest right on top of it. Okay, see it? And we'll just have a little bow here. And what I do with this little bow, let me get a smaller knife. Let me get one with a point on it. That's not the one I wanted. Where's the other one I wanted? Hang on just a second. I'm coming. Now, there we go. What I want to do is try to go right in here and slice this off a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to stick it in there a little bit, but I'm just trying to get this little bit more of a, there we go, and there we go. Alright, so there's a little bow at the top, and hello Jennifer. There's a little bow at the top, so and it's right up against his lip. You'll see that after you paint it. You can see here too, his lip is right above it. And this one here, the bow is definitely smaller. And then usually I put you can just paint it, or I usually put a little extra cut, like a little V cut in there to separate like two bows in one. You know, it's got a double bow there. And it will show up when I get it all painted up. You usually can't see a lot of that until you paint it up. It comes out a lot better. So, but yep. So that's the package. Now, and that's the mustache for now. We're going to do his feet on the side. Right there, you see the feet? Okay. Okay, Smoky Mountains Wood Carvers is having a 10th annual show and competition, October 9th and 10th. You may want to look them up. I believe that's in Tennessee. Am I right, Dean? Yes. If you have a show, you're welcome to post that on the Carver's Wood Shop. I just want to share something with that. On the Carver's Wood Shop group, things have changed. I can't just approve people to join, but if you join, you have to be there for a couple of years for you to post without me checking it. I don't know why they've changed things so much lately, but they have. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to follow this with my V tool first. All right, each foot. So if you haven't been able to post anything, it may have to be approved by me first, which is fine if it's just a show. I'm getting some really different things people are putting up, and I've been trying to cut some of that stuff out. Thank you, Dean. So it is in Tennessee, folks, the last show I just mentioned. So we're going to cut this out a little bit more. We're going to follow this again with our knife, and we're going to cut it really kind of deep in here. We're going to recut it, and we're just going to follow that to the back side. We're going to bring this down a little bit. And here too, we're going to just cut, because he's sitting. So if you missed my story about how I cut myself a couple of weeks ago, go back and watch it on YouTube. You might find some humor in it. Okay, so I'm going to do this side as well. We're going to notch this out. And actually we're working on the back side right now of the foot and his butt here. There we go. Alright, that's all that we're doing right now. So yes, one has to be careful with their knives for sure. Alright, I'm going to round this up a little bit more. Let me bring this down just a tiny bit more. Alright, now he has, if you look at it, his hands are holding the package. So we're going to go ahead and put the rest of the arms. The arms are already in there. You just, well actually the beard has to come in first, but then we'll put the arms in. So the beard comes right on the corners, pretty well the corner of the package. So you're just going to come up here and you're just going to do one of these. You're going to come over here and do the same thing. Alright. Actually, I should go a little further down, but I'm not going to. Okay. Let me take a look here. Cut some of this out over here. Hope you all had a great summer. We're heading into, well, soon, we're still in summer, but whenever we hit September and kids go back to school, I feel it's like fall. Even though it doesn't feel like fall in Pennsylvania, here in Honeybrook, it's been kind of warm. So we're going to go ahead and, okay, yeah, I had it. And bring it down. Alright, that's his beard, and we're going to recut it with the knife again. Some folks have asked me if I'm going to have classes here. Not yet. I'm not comfortable with it yet, and I've been debating some of it as far as vaccination, no vaccination. I would want people vaccinated if they come to my place. So, you know, and I don't want to make a big, you know, it's still not, to me, it's still not safe enough to be in a small room with a group of people. So we're just going to hold off a little bit on that, guys, and I'll let you know. Maybe next year. But a lot can happen between now and then. So we did the back side of the carving. Now we're going to go to the front side of this. And I'm going to cut underneath here. I'm going to cut the front part of the foot. We're just going to follow that around a little bit more. There we go. And we're going to just, okay, there you go. Pretty well lit. All right. There's a lot to this piece. A lot of little things. I'm just going to take a quick drink here. Now, if you're a beginner and you don't want to do the package and stuff, you could just do the beard. It's fine with him crossing his hands. Let me see if I have one here. Well, here's a different one. This is a real simple one. If you're a beginner, this is a simple one you can do. It requires nothing in the front. I figured I'd do a little bit more, a little more complicated one for people that have been carving for a while. But you can just put the mustache in. You do everything basically the same, except you put the feet up higher, and then you just extend his beard down. And it's the same thing in the back as the others. And then I also have one that, you know, there's variations of this. This one here is the one with a wreath. So you can do it either or. I'm trying to get ready for the October. I carved about 43 different things over the last month. That's the most I've ever carved in a month. But once I get on a roll, you know, I might do 2 or 3 of the same thing. And it's easier when you can do 2 or 3 or 4 at the same time. Then you don't have to stop and think how you did it or how you have to do it. I'm going to clean this up later. There we go. Alright, that's good. So what you want to do is clean all this off here. Round this off a little bit. And what we're going to do to save a little bit of time, we're going to start on this side. I'm not going to show you, hello Jim and Beth. I'm just showing you bits and pieces, and if I show you not everything, it's just you just duplicate it on the other side. That's all you have to do. So it won't take as much time. Now I'm going to put the feet in a little bit. I'm going to cut that off and round that off a little bit. Okay. This goes in a little bit. Okay, perfect. I kind of round up his foot. And you notice we're getting a nice clean Oh, hi Jim. Alright. So now we got this all done here so far. Let's put the eyes in. That's going to be the next venture. Let me take this back and clean this up a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and put a couple of eyes. Everybody gets, some people really say, well, I can't do eyes. I can't do them. And really, it isn't that difficult. Once you master the simple thing to it, it's not that bad. So the first thing you do is make sure that this is nice and deep. See how deep that is from the front? Here was the actual thing. This is how deep it is. Maybe 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch down. And so you want to really push those eyeballs in a little bit. And then what you want to do is you just want to, I like a nice big eye on both sides. So usually where the nose, the curvature of the nose is, that's usually where I start the eye. Now, is that the right thing to do as far as, is it accurate? No, because these are caricatures. And caricatures are different. You know, you can over-exaggerate, excuse me, you can over-exaggerate one part, or you can over-exaggerate parts of the body. So you can have a real big head, real big nose, small eyes, big eyes, but I like things big, and I think it gives it the cute, what I call the cute factor. So once you get that done, I'm going to get a different knife here. Let's try this one. All right. So once you get that done and you have your 2 lines in there, I'm going to spray it just a tad to soften it up. And what I'm using is rubbing alcohol and water, 50-50, and 70% rubbing alcohol in the mix. So 50-50 of the rubbing alcohol and water, and it's the 70% strength on the rubbing alcohol. Alright, so I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to follow that line. Okay, when you do an eye, you just make sure this is deep enough, and then you cut from the inside of the eye first. Alright, you cut the inside of the eye first. If I can do that. Alright, here we go. Come on. Pop out. There we go. Now I'm going to go a little bit deeper. There we go. And you go from the inside of the eye first. See, you already see it coming. Alright, and then you just kind of round off this side, and you know, and then I usually try to flatten the eye out a little bit and try to do it a little bit deeper in the corners, like right over here. You'd see it's a little deeper, and that makes that eye look a little bit more rounder. So I'll clean that up when I get off of here, because like I said, I can't see it from here. So the eye is not difficult. So all it is one cut, straight in, all the way around, following your line, and then you turn it and you do the inside of the eyeball, just like so. That's how the first one should have came out. Okay, and then I go back and I make it a little bit deeper in the corner, and then I come back and I take that little hard edge off. There you go. Oh, the spray mix is in a spray bottle, and all I use is water, regular tap water or whatever you have, and then mix it 50-50, 50% water, 50% rubbing alcohol, and the rubbing alcohol that I use is 70%. And I use that to mix in a bottle, and then that's what I spray on these. You don't want to overdo it, because if you overdo it, you're going to end up having it check. I would say out of 100, I might have 2 or 3 that do that. So you want to be very, very careful not to overspray it. But if it does check, you can let it dry for a few days. Sometimes it goes back. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to decide if you want to fill it or start over. But a lot of times it's so minimal, there's ways of fixing that. Alright, so this is where we're at right now. I'm going to round off this a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, the spray is a big, especially if you're doing a lot of carving, and it's a lot easier in your hands and your knives and stuff, I think, too, in the long run. I'm taking all this hard stuff off, because the rough stuff, because I'm just going to round this off a little bit more. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions. I'll try to catch it as it pops up, because there's probably other people wondering the same. Okay, so that's pretty well the face. And the nose is a little pointy, so we're going to just round that off. And then usually I take my small knife, and let me open the other side of that. And I'm going to just scoop this out a little bit. I find that that makes the nose look a little more like a pudgy nose. It's been a while. I may not come back on doing classes until maybe towards the end of September. And then we'll get back on a schedule again. Hopefully when people get back to work and, you know, back to school and things start revving up again. I was hoping that things would be a lot different in the world, and it's not. Things haven't, you know, this COVID has not gone away, but, you know, it's taken a while. Alright, so this here, I like to usually put a little bit more of an indentation there where the tassel is. There you go. That's all it takes is a cut here and there. Okay, that's all it does. And I usually like to go over a little further, like it's around the corner there. There you go. And we'll scoop this out a little bit more. I'm going to just scoop this out. I'm trying to see how rounded the hat is. Okay. I always take a little bit more here because it compensates for this side over here. Alright, now we're getting there. So this is the beard here. We're going to kind of round that off a little bit more and have that distinguished from the arm here. Now on the back side of this arm, you know, the arm is right here, so he needs a little bit of an elbow there, so we're going to put that on either side here. Again, back with the V-tool, and we'll cut that out. So there's the arm. See it? Okay. And that's this portion right there that we're doing. Alright? So, and then you kind of just blend everything together. I'm just putting that in a little bit, and we'll round off the shoe a little bit more. There we go. There we go. And it's a wonderful hobby in the winter to be inside, or when it's going to rain. Tomorrow it's going to rain a lot, so I'll probably be in here painting. I did get 13 of the 43 painted. I don't know if I'll get them all done this week, but pretty darn close. So right here, I'm going to try to get rid of any of the hard edges that I see. You know, what I mean by hard edges are squared off edges. I try to round them off a little bit. I don't do sanding. I always do everything with a knife. I find once you sand, it's hard to, you know, then it has to be sanded equally all over the place, just like you do with the knife. But, you know, I like to see those little indentations that shows that it's been carved. So, if there's anything you'd like to see carved or that I haven't touched upon, just let me know, or put it in the comments below, or on Facebook for me. You can message it to me if you want. I know people are starting to purchase again. It's usually very slow in the summer because people are going away, but I see it starting to rev up again, and you know, so you need to order something, or blocks or something that you need for Christmas. I would do it sooner than later, because those projects will take you a while to do. You know, you can't do it Christmas Eve and say, well, I'm going to carve a bunch of stuff for people for Christmas. That does not work that way. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Alright, so I have all the blocks for the Nativity set, Noah's Ark. I have the 3.5 inch, I have 2.5 inch. So if you're not able to find it anywhere, let me know. I'm using a Rough Rider knife, Linda. You can find them posted on my Carver's Woodshop online store. I actually revamped them. I reshaped them and I sharpened them. They're not the original piece. They have to be sharpened. You can't just buy them and expect to carve with it. That's not a realistic thing with these knives. I actually sharpen them down to a flat blade, as you can see. Alright, this is a flat blade on both sides. And then I reshape the top. So the other thing, let me take a quick look here. Okay, usually here in the center of the bow, I usually put a little triangular cut in there to show that it's a ribbon. Okay. That didn't turn out like I wanted it to. But let's see if I can revamp that a little bit. Hang on just a second, folks. I'm having a problem with the bow. Okay. So you put a little thing in the middle that will show you that it's a ribbon, like it goes up and around. The other thing I also do is, well, Helvy knives, I've never had a Helvy's knives. Somebody said they wasted their money on that. There are some knives that I would say they're a waste, but I wouldn't say necessarily they are a waste because I have no idea what kind of knife they are. It all depends how good the steel is and how easy it is to maintain it. You know, you can have a sharp knife for 5 minutes, but if that's all you get out of it, that's not a very good knife. So we're putting a little ribbon portion on, what you're seeing. I'm sorry, wrong one. What you're seeing right here. And painting these are fun in a way because I usually cut both lines straight with a stop cut, and then I take my knife and I just slowly go right next to it. So you can see a difference. Now, if you don't want to do this, you can always paint it on. You know, it's not that much of a difference, but I try to carve everything I can on the block. And I think that makes it unique. And it gives it a little more depth to your project, the more detail you can put into a piece. Now, you know, if you're doing it to sell, you know, I sell all mine the same price, whether they're easy or hard, because I didn't want to have people say, well, why is this one $10 more than this one? Well, detail. But then I don't fuss with that. I just put one price and I'm happy with it. And some people ask me, well, how do you price a piece? Well, that's really difficult. Everybody's different with pricing their stuff. Some people think that you can just price your hours. No, you can't. You can, but then it would be out of price for a lot of people. It all depends. It depends how fast you do it. Depends if you enjoy it. There's a number of factors when you go into selling stuff, you know. I was just asked if I could, my sister contacted me from Canada and said, well, somebody would like you to do their pooch, their dog. And they'll send you a picture, and I go, no, 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 I don't do custom work like that. Because then it becomes a job for me. Because their expectations are different than what I perceive it to be. And so, what we do with the bottom, I give it a little bit of a heel. Let me show you this. See this right here? I don't know if you can see that. There you go. See that right there? That's what we're going to put in on the bottom. So we're going to do the shoes. And just take your little V-tool and go on either side. And just do a little V-cut. And then I recut it with my knife a little bit. A little more detailed with the knife. A little deeper. So those are the two heels. And what else do we have to do? Oh. We have to do this is his hand, right? His mitten. And so I'll do it like so. Alright, both sides. I did a football player. I'll see if I can find it on some of my old photos, and I still have it. I did a Philadelphia Eagle one in an ornament style, in the short one, the short version of it. I did several different ones. No, I did it in a 3-inch one, 3.5 inch. So that is on DVD somewhere. So once I put those out, I just take my little V-tool and help me guide where I'm going to be cutting. And I'm going to make this a little wider. There we go. That's good. I agree, Maxine. I'll tell you, these fit really nicely in my hands. Either one really. This one has a lot of weight to it. I like it. Some people don't like the weight. The smaller one, some people like the smaller ones if their hands are smaller. Yeah, the knives all depend on how you take care of them and how you feel with them in your hand as well. You know, because if you're like me and you're carving hours on end sometimes, your hand can get really tired if you're not used to it, or if you don't have a good support in your grip with the knife. A lot of, some things I'm not a fan of. Other things I am. And the nice thing about the pocket knife, she's right. You can take it anywhere, fold it up, it's safe. Just don't close it on your hip like I did. Well, if you do, just be real careful that you don't stab yourself like I did. So, but I can laugh at it now, but man, that was nasty. Nasty. Alright, so I'm going back and I'm taking care of the cuff, the white part, okay? And usually I put a couple little, a couple little folds on the top here. I'm just going to put 2 in today. Alright, so it looks like he's folding his arm. Alright, I'll do the same thing over here. Let me just bring this down a little bit more. Okay. I'll put one here and another one. Alright, there we go. Alright, so most of the top is done. The package is done. Him holding it with his 2 hands. His beard is there. We're going to start doing some of the thing. But the other thing we have to do yet is where you have to put his brim of his hat in there. So let's just bring this down and around. And no, I've got to clean that up first because that's not going to work if I don't clean that up a bit. I think there's another couple of shows in Michigan in October. I'm not sure where they are. Madison Heights, I think, is one. I'm not sure when that is. I don't know if anybody out there knows any information on that show, but if you have any information on that show, if you could send it to me, would be great. Alright, so now I marked off where his little again, I go around with my V-tool first, and I go back with the knife and clean it up, make it a little bit deeper, a little more distinct lines. on it, and then that will do it. And then we can start putting in the other stuff. Let's do this to that. Bring this back a little bit more. There we go. So what I usually do with the hat, I usually go back around with the knife, go all the way around the outs from the brim towards the hat, towards the red part of the hat. And I come back and I cut all that out. That just gives it a bigger brim that sticks out. Then you gotta then you've got to clean it all up. You know, there we go. Then you take this hard edge off. Okay. I'm going to take this back here for a second. Something doesn't look right to me. There we go. Alright. So, I'm going to go back around here and cut this all out. Alright. There you go. Alright. See this little square edge here? I usually go back and I trim all that off. And any rough stuff, I take that off. And same thing here at the top. I kind of blend everything together since I don't sand anything. Alright, let me just go take this back here for a second and do a couple things to get some of this rough stuff off of here. It's just faster if I do it back here real quick. Alright, I'm just gonna alright, that's good. Just trying to get a lot of the hard edges off of here and square edges off. And boom, boom, boom. There we go. Alrighty. Now I'm ready to do some, well, let's go back. Now we went all the way around once. Well, we did the top one. We've got to do the other two. So I'm going to go back to where we were in the beginning of this, and I'm just going to do each row. And I'm just going to do the front. The back I can do later when I'm off the line to show you how to do these blocks. And it's pretty simple. It doesn't take too long to do it. Let me take this back here and do it back here real quick. Okay, and then we're going to do the next one. I do it pretty deep because, first of all, you have to get a paintbrush in there. Do each one when you're done. And alright, that's pretty good. So I'm going to show you on the one side how to do this. You take your pencil to do these blocks, you just do one in the center. Now you're not going to do the top one, remember that stays white. So you're going to put one in the middle, and well, as much in the middle as you can, and one on either, in the middle of the next one you put the next one. Okay? One in the middle, one there, and one here. So that's got to go over a little bit. So then you take your hefty little knife and you just keep it at an angle. And then you just pop that out. And you can adjust it. You know, if it doesn't look right on the top or the bottom, you can adjust it. Okay, so that's how it's done. Same thing over here. You're going to do one in the middle. And one on either side. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So that's how you do your bottom one on that. Alright, so once you do all the way around, it will look really cool. I don't really take the rough stuff off. I'll explain why. It gives a little coarser look when you go to paint it, and it's not smooth anyway. If you look at bricks, they're kind of a little rough, so they have a smooth finish on them sometimes, but usually they have a little roughness to it, and it just gives a little different texture than the rest of your piece. So it's really nice to be able to make these blocks, and I use a red oxide for the bottom. If you're wondering about colors, I use a red oxide, and I usually put 2 coats. Usually I put 2 coats on no matter what I do. So if you do this, just red oxide, and then when you go to paint, I take a dark gray with a fine brush and do in between. Now if you get it over the top a little bit, you just wipe it off really quick, and it fits really, really well. Because the actual one we're doing, this one, I forgot to do the backside. So if you just left it like that, you notice it doesn't look right. If you put the gray, it enhances that brick look. So yeah, so you want to make sure that you do them all and then wipe it off real quick if you go over. You try not to go over, but I use a wash when I do that. So that's how the bricks are done, and the block, and the top part is just white, and that's perfectly fine. So you'll notice that this is a little rough versus everything else. So now here comes the fun part. We're going to start doing the brim. And I'm only going to do part of it. The rest I'll do when I get off of here, just to show you. I usually go in the same direction. Sometimes I go down a little further and then I work my way back, and then I don't get it exactly the same everywhere. If you go 1, 1, 1 all the way across, it tends to look the same. But if you can turn your hand a little bit and just go in a little different direction, it gives it a little bit. I always work towards the edge. I don't work from the middle out. So when I go around to the front here, it's the same way, right? So I go around the corner. Now when I do it the other way, I usually start up here and I work my way back a little bit. And let me just show you how this is done here. Now if your little tool is not sharp enough, it's going to be tearing this out because you're going straight across the grain. And usually if it's sharp enough, you won't have any problem. Alright, so let's just do a couple of extras up here. Alright, so how do you do the stuff in between? Very simple. I usually just do another row. Okay, just another row, and if it's too wide, you do another row behind that and kind of mix it all together. Just like so. That's it. So you do it in stages. You don't have to do it all at once from one end to the other. You'll get a rhythm for it and what works for you. That's usually how it works. So that's how you do the whole brim all the way around. The hat, the tassel, I usually go in one direction, and I keep going in that direction. I go all the way around, and then I work towards the middle. Remember, I work towards the edge. When I paint, I always work towards the edge. That way you don't bleed colors together and stuff as well. So one of these days I'll do a painting session of how I do all my paintings at once. I think you'll find that interesting and very boring because it's a lot of repetition to it, but that's how I do the tassel. Now, oh, I forgot one thing. Where is that? Okay, I thought I had it here. Where is it? Oh, don't tell me I don't have it. Well, usually I put the nose in with a small gouge. I don't have it here right now. But I usually use my small little gouge to gouge out the nose a little bit and the nostrils. And it's the smallest gouge that I have out of the 4-pack that I have. And I shoved it. Oh, here it is. Didn't look far enough. Here we go. So when I do the nostrils, I usually go towards the outside of the nose. And I go up a little ways and I just kind of punch a hole in there. You don't want them too close together. Alright, you want them a little further apart. And then I take a point of a knife. Let's take this one. And you just pop it out. Alright, that's it. Now I'm going to go over this thing kind of a lot when I get off of here. So that's how that's done. Let's do the beard next. The beard, I usually move it this way, okay? You'll see. I start from the outside and I work my way towards the center, towards the cheek. And I try not to push too hard because I don't want to put little jab marks with the edge of my V-tool. Okay, and then I go in the same direction. I do the bottom portion next. I keep turning it, okay, and then I start mixing it together. I do the next row. Why is that not coming out? There we go. And then I kind of blend them together a little bit. Alright, see, that's how the beard's done. I mean the mustache. Now let's get that down a little further. There we go. Okay, and usually I have the beard going in a different direction usually. Just straight out. And I turn upside down and I do the bottom part. Again, I'm very careful I don't stick this V-tool anywhere else. Alright, and then I usually mix it together a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's half the beard. That's a fourth of the rest of it. And that, oh, the other thing is these little, I usually go down with it. 1, 2, I go to the outside, upside down, do the other side. This is that cuff from his suit. Okay, so you can see that. Alright, so that's how it's done. It's not a difficult project. Well, there's a lot to it, but it's a lot of fun to do once you get in the hang of it. I'm going to really clean it up a lot, but once you get it done, it should look something similar to this. And I use a mix of red and burnt sienna and I think brown mix to get a little darker red, but the red oxide is what we use for the bottom. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this. I figured I wasn't going to do all this just to save some time on the video, but once you're done with it, it should look something similar to this. I hope you enjoyed tonight, and maybe we'll see you in a month or so. If you have any ideas of what you'd like to see done on our online class, let me know. And if anything changes for classes here later in the fall, I will let you know. Alright folks, thank you very much, and God bless. Bye-bye.